Okay, cool. All right. Well, welcome, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining in, and thank you, everyone, for coming from far, all the way through Zoom. Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of Better Call Shaul. The topic we wanted to talk about today was prison reform. Oh, you like that, Jacqueline? Better Call
I
Shaul.
love that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. If he had a different name, though, I don't know what we'd have called it, but we're lucky we have that one. Yeah. So we wanted to talk about, Shaul and I wanted to talk with you guys today about prison reform, really, how it looks now and maybe how it can look a bit different for the future. The reason we wanted to talk about it because it's really important as it's when someone is needed to be put in a correctional facility, or what it's called, right? And you'd expect it to be something that's rehabilitation, something that will help them. But we don't necessarily see that, and that's a massive shame, because that can be used as a really great positive force to help people improve their lives. And we're kind of like missing out on. That's what I thought it was important to speak about. And I just wanted to introduce you guys and Beyond Recovery. So welcome Jacqueline Hollows, Derek Mason, and Omar Wilson. And Jacqueline, Derek, organization called Beyond Recovery, which is a fast-growing new social enterprise that's already making a proven difference to people with repeat offending behavior, complex mental health issues, drug and alcohol problems that people are involved in the criminal justice system. So it was founded by Jacqueline Hollows. Beyond Recovery aims to help people look beyond mere survival and existence, instead move forward with resilience and more purpose in life. And Beyond Recovery is fortunate to have two of the people who are impacted by their work in the HMP only and are now an integral part of the leadership team, Derek and Omar. They have lived the experience of the criminal justice system, and they've seen their lives transformed by the three principles, which maybe you guys will talk about. And they're now making a huge impact as inspirational speakers and mentors and project coordinators. Beyond Recovery believes that its life's not about events or circumstances, and that every person has a source of well-being within them, and it's our thoughts that create our experiences for us. And maybe you guys can talk about that a bit later. How are you guys? How are you guys doing?
Good, man. Oh, good. Oh, good.
You're a bit quiet, Omar. You wanted to turn your volume up or something.
It's all right.
Better. Moving in the right direction.
Sorry.
That's okay. We can basically hear you, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah. Well, I just want to add to what Levi said there. I mean, I really love what Jacqueline and Beyond Recovery are doing. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I have seen the fruits of her labor over and over again in terms of individuals who have really struggled in their own lives, and ended up in the criminal justice system as a result of the struggles they went through in their own lives, and the transformation that she has been able to sort of help them go through is just amazing. And I think you'll get a flavor of that from Omar and Derek today. But I think Omar and Derek are just two examples, really. There's so many people who Jacqueline is helping and assisting and sort of helping them find resilience and a direction in their lives, and a sense of meaning and a sense of hope and a future for themselves. She really is doing amazing work, and it's a privilege to have her with us today. So thank you, Jacqueline, and thank you, Omar and Derek, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shaul.
Sure.
Jacqueline, go ahead.
No,
go ahead, Derek.
I was going to say, Levi, after an introduction like that,
we've set the bar high.
Yeah, I must be feeling good to know that I've been a part of that Beyond Recovery now, and what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve from where I was before I met Jacqueline and Beyond Recovery to where I am now. Yeah, it's just stark contrast, and I'm just so pleased to be a part of it and to share whatever I've seen or whatever I've picked up along the way with you guys today.
Cool. And I'd love to hear both your guys' stories, and Jacqueline as well. And I remember 2 or 3 years ago, we were talking about it before, the Rabbinic Training Academy. We visited one of the institutions along with Jacqueline, and it was an amazing experience just to see what goes on and the growth and development and just the different outlook that you guys had in the program that you run. Well, you could start off, Jacqueline. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about what you do? What is Beyond Recovery? Yeah, and then Derek and Omar, if you can back that up with kind of your story, how this came to your life, where you found yourself in the past.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing. And I'm so grateful to be here. So thank you so much. I came across the Three Principles Understanding a few years ago in 2012, 13, 12, yeah. And I was at that time an IT professional. So I was working with information technology and I was working in businesses and I had like a proper job with a proper title. And but I was clinging on to life, you know, like I had a outwardly looking good life with stuff, material stuff and so on, but I felt as though there was not a lot of meaning to anything that I was doing. I worked for a premium finance company, and the company found a gap where between when you buy an insurance policy, there's like a few pence that you can harvest between the bank, the insurance, and something else, and that's what we did. You know, we harvested these few pences, and you know, I kept thinking it's not very meaningful. And then all of that crashed, and my life actually crashed as well, and a lot of things happened all at the same time and created what turned out to be an opportunity. It seemed like a bit of a tough time at the time, but it was a massive opportunity to take a good long hard look at my life and see what I was doing. And because I lost everything, I no longer needed to earn a big salary. You know, I could just go out and do what I wanted to do. And along the way, I started doing volunteering for different places, and I met people who had struggled with addictions. And I retrained. I did lots of training, counselling and neuro-linguistic programming and EFT and various things. And Three Principles training was sort of dribbled in there. And that's another story about how I felt about that. But along the way, I started working with people in recovery from addictions and just fell in love with them, just absolutely could see the potential and the resilience and the creativity that those people had, and that they weren't living to that. There was something in their psyche that meant that they didn't know that they had more beneath, and they struggled with stigma and with how the world looked at them and things like that. And I could see through the bits that I'd learned that how we see the world is created from the inside out. So I started talking to them about that, and through that, I then started to see my own life change and transform. Along the way, then I did volunteering for a couple of years, and then I met someone who was able to offer me the opportunity for working on a project in a prison. And again, that's another story, but I jumped at that chance. And I remember sitting in the salubrious reception area of HMP Onley, which is pretty murky and grey, and you know, sort of like there's screens and officers everywhere who are all tooled up and everything. And that very week that I was sat there, I'd worked with somebody doing an event in a posh hotel, and I'd been an assistant, you know, at this event, and a wellbeing event, so up my street. And I remember sitting there in the reception of HMP Onley thinking, I don't know why, but I just want to work here. I just want to be here. And we walked through the grounds, and you know, I'm sort of embarrassed now to say I was scared. We walked through the grounds. I'd never been in a prison before. It looked hard, but my heart was full. And the guy that I was walking with, he was the service manager of the substance misuse at the prison. And he was saying, you know, I'm hoping that you can bring something that can help our people, you know, and can support them. And it just sung to me, you know, what he was saying. And then we went through the hard process of being able to get into the prison, but we ended up working in there. And I wrote a business case. I had to jump through a few hoops. And then I was absolutely delighted to get the work. Before I got the work, I remember feeling like every step of the way was a blessing. Back in the day, back in 2014, there wasn't a lot of people in the UK in working in those sorts of environments. I don't think there is that many now. There wasn't a lot of research around the three principles. And so, you know, it was a bit of a lonely place. But every time that my report would go to a committee or something, I remember thinking, this is amazing, and celebrating every single step and being so delighted. And then in January 15, he got in touch with me, and the commissioner of the local council had read the report and been impacted from the report, and said, we need this work, and offered me a 12-month contract. And that's when I started Beyond Recovery, because then I realized, I better have a container for this work. So I started the social enterprise at that point. And I'll pause there, because that's how it got founded.
That's amazing, Jacqueline. I love the organic nature of it. You know, you didn't kind of feel like, oh, this is what I need to do and let me go and do it. It just kind of flowed in that direction, which I think is a great way for things to happen.
Yeah, never. When people ask me now, how did you get to work in prisons? Like accidentally, I want to say.
It was a lucky accident.
Yeah, never did I think that's what I was going to be doing. I just followed it along the way. And actually, even the name wasn't created by me. As I said, I was volunteering for a couple of years in a community in Coventry. And every time I turned up to this community, they'd go, here she is, Beyond Recovery. So I use that name because they made the names.
That's great. That's great. So we'd love to hear kind of, like you're saying, I think the proof of the pudding is in the tasting. And we'd love to hear from Omar and Derek, just kind of a little bit your story and kind of where you came from and where you are now, and, you know, a little bit kind of how you got there.
Yeah, thanks, Shaul.
Sure.
Yeah, Mama J, if I could just say, that beautiful and touching story. Like I said, I've heard it before, but I'm in this sort of space where I can see all the little opportunities what you had to fail, or you had not to get into prison. There was more reasons not to come in than there was to come in. You could have sat there in reception and thought, oh, I don't like this, got scared and walked off. And the commissioner guy who saw the report could have said, oh, I don't like this. And there were so many different points, but everything worked in that favor, because that's where I see it. When you're talking about dates, 2016 and them times, I was doing stuff that what I'm doing now is on the total opposite side. So if I never met you and your organization, then I know I wouldn't be here now talking to you or thinking the way I think, or change my life the way that I've changed my life. And to see it rest on so many little pivotal points that I've got no knowledge of. All I do is just basically show up. And if I can give you a little brief history, in 2016, I was arrested for intent to supply Class A drugs, which is something what I've done basically all my life, all my adult life. I've been something what they call a career criminal. And I just thought that's how my life was. That's how, those were the rules. And I was playing by them. And there was nothing else outside of that. End goal outside of that was, okay, to make enough money to stop selling drugs and then become an upstanding member of the community. But that was the only way for me. And when I went to prison for 5 years for the crime, I didn't think I needed changing. I'll be out in 2.5 years. I'll just carry on doing what I'm doing in a smarter way, and that's just it. That's just the way life is. There is no get out or win the lottery. So when I met Beyond Recovery, that was my thinking, that I'm only on this course to tick a box to try and get me into a better prison, a DCAT prison, which is an open prison where you can walk about and get a bit more freedom. So that's the only reason I went to Beyond Recovery. But there was something about the class, or something about, and I sort of see it now that I'm seeing more of the background. There's something about the love that they all came in with and showed me, and it kind of reflected that I had that love as well. And then when I found,
life.
sorry about that.
It's okay.
Yeah, then when I sort of realized it was reflecting on me, I had that love in me. I had what they were showing me, I had that in me already. And it sort of, I had an insight which sort of showed me that there was always options. There was always another way. And I just looked at it through this narrow, blinkered view that was the only option. And just by following my feeling of what was right in the moment has led me to where I am now. And being a part of the introduction, what Levi gave, that we're trying to make change and we're trying to impact people. And if I can try to let somebody see what I saw, because I know there's lots of people out there in the criminal justice system that see it like how I saw it. There is no other way other than what I have to do. But just to be given the option, or being able to see the option, that's what I've got to say as well. Beyond Recovery never come in and give me anything. Beyond Recovery just sort of pointed me in the direction of what I already had and what I was neglecting, and put down the things I thought were needed and pick up the things that I've always discarded or always not put value on. And one of those things was me, to like the real me, not taking up a mask and trying to build on it. Just the real me was always good enough to show off. And that's something that Beyond Recovery showed me that I had in me all the time. And just by moving from that space, doors seemed to open up for me that make me feel even better. And the feelings reciprocated, because it's just, I just feel connected and one with everybody that I thought I was disenfranchised from before. Now I can see anything is possible. Whatever I think is impossible, anything is possible. Just from seeing my journey alone. And like I said, like, none of us are special. There's thousands of people in the criminal justice system that just through they think their options are closed. They just need pointing in a direction of themselves to see that they have everything they need to thrive and survive. And I'm so grateful that Mama J overcame all those obstacles and managed to come in with Beyond Recovery. Because like I said so many times, it changed my life, it saved my life. It's made me a better father. It just made me a better person all around, just by following that feeling of I am good enough to be all those things. And I can be anything I want to be. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
No, that's amazing, Dad. I love that. Really love that. I mean, we'll come back to that soon. You know, maybe let's hear Omar first, and we'll kind of, there's a few points I want to say on that, but let's I'll do it once you've heard a little bit of Omar's story.
Hey, is that better? Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. That's great. Well done. You got there.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, do you know what? It kind of, I didn't realize as well that there were so many chances for it not to happen. You know? I didn't see that before. But there's so many little things that could happen where you just didn't come in. But for me, I feel like the main things for me I wasn't seeing was I trusted everything outside way more than I trusted anything inside. And I say that because my environment, down to when I was young, I got diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia. Straight away, I believed in that. Like anything that happened, I believed in that. I believed in, I was the lowest of society because I was Black. I believed in that because that's what everybody around me was kind of saying and seeing. And I believed in that there weren't a lot of opportunities for me. My dad always told me, oh, you've got to work harder than anybody else because of, so I always believed in anything outside of me than inside. And that led me through a lot of trouble. And even the area that I grew up in, when I got there, I felt alone and scared, and I felt everybody around me was a bit aggressive, was monstrous, was to someone to be feared, and you know, so I kind of played into that role, and that led me to selling drugs for a very long time. And even though during that path, I did try to do things that I like, and this is the bit that I love, because I realized that I wasn't that person 24/7. When I would go home and I would be chilling in my bed, and I would do what I like. I would watch films, and I would be at peace with myself. But I realize as soon as I'm outside and I see certain things and I create my reality different, and I think it's like that, and I absorb certain thoughts, then I became this person that was far from me. But at the time, I thought this is how it has to be. I have to go through this process. I have to be scared when I'm doing certain things. And I shouldn't tell everybody I'm scared, because you're not meant to be scared. And all of those thought processes I believed in, which led me to prison, which was no different from when I was outside on the roads. I was doing the same stuff. And I went on every course in prison. I went on every course. I told them put me on everything, because I just didn't really want to be in my cell a lot. And nothing changed. I went on these courses and I don't think I learned anything. I just done it to tick boxes, and I was the class clown, and I was just making everyone laugh because I love laughing. Do you know what I mean? That's one thing you'll find. I love laughing and that. And when I laugh, time just, I don't know, but I've even realized there's a special energy in laughter that just brings people together. It breaks down barriers, but we'll get to that. But I've always loved laughing, so I did that in every class. And when it came to Beyond Recovery, I was prepared to do the same thing. There was nothing different. And it even got to my mind, because the words Beyond Recovery, I was judging that, because I didn't think, not one time I thought, did I need anything? Do I need well-being? All I need is to not get caught doing stuff and not come to prison. And at no point I thought, I need recovery, I need therapy, I need any of that. And I would have never opted in for any of that, because I thought I was all right. And it came to Beyond Recovery, and for me it was weird, because these ladies are just smiling. And in prison, not everybody's smiling. Not everybody's smiling, especially the teachers. Do you know what I mean? They don't smile, because I don't know what stigma they have around it, but they don't really smile. But these ladies, it's like they didn't know the rules, because they were just smiling. And it was just like, wow, like that's a bit weird, but I like it. And they just had teas, coffee, everything was just a bit different about this group. And I remember one of the first things they said, which was I've never heard in my life in a group, was you don't have to write anything down, which was I was joyful, because yeah, I hate writing. And you don't have to remember anything, which is weird. I think, so why am I here? And then she said something like, you don't even have to focus, you can just relax and sit in your chair, and even if you go sleep, that's all right, and for a feeling. And it was just all so weird. So I'm just like, wow, what is this? And at the time I didn't really know what curiosity was, but it piqued my curiosity. And Jacqueline told a story which kind of opened my curiosity, and I realized once your curiosity is open, your judgment doesn't affect anything. You're just open to whatever comes. And I must have been open after this first session, because I just kept going back, and there was something in there for me, but I didn't know what it was. And long story short, the thing that really got me, because I always class myself as hard-headed. Everybody told me what to do and I did the opposite. And these lot they didn't ask me what crime I did. They didn't know me. They didn't even come from the same background, no color. So it was all just crazy. I didn't see the relation, how it could ever relate, until I was on the basic, and basic time is when you're a bit naughty in prison. They take away your TV. And I was on that quite a bit. And they took away my TV, and I had these books Jacqueline gave me, and I was never planning to read them ever. literally they were good for cups and to eat dinner off, and but I was never planning to read them because they were this big, and that was a nightmare to me. But I was doing this basic time, and I had a dictionary as well, so I went through this book, and I remember, because I actually found it the other day where I've got words that are written down from the book that I didn't know, and I went in the dictionary to find what they mean, and I literally found that book the other day, and I found love and interest in it. And then in that space of 2 weeks, I taught myself to read and write, and I found out that I loved it after the best of 23, 24 years of not doing it. I'm like, what? I love this shit. This is amazing. And that's when I really looked into it. And it was like, wow, I turned up for so many courses. I've done so many with them. And from then to now, it's like, I really wanted to teach this. When I first got it, and I saw what it did for me and how I saw things differently. And when I came out of prison, I came back to where everything happened, basically. I came back to the same area. And my friends, a couple of them were still in the same loop. So when I came out, it's like they offered me drugs to get back on my feet. Like, yeah, you could sell that, get some money, get back on your feet. And what was crazy to me is, one, I didn't see that as a bad gesture. Two, I didn't even take it because I thought, you know what, it didn't even feel right. Even though I know I needed money, and I know it didn't feel right. And I didn't even feel bad that they were offering me this, because I saw that they only see that as, that's a good gesture.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that I can only see it as a bad gesture via thought, which kind of just opened me up. And I went through this rocky path, but I realized that Beyond Recovery was still open. There were open arms. And after a year of being out and trying to just catch my feet and see what's going on, I rang them, and like somehow in the space, it was going Nottingham, innit? In a short time, there was going Nottingham prison, and they invited me to Nottingham prison. And I went in Nottingham prison, and just the way people looked at me, I knew that there was something. Like, I want to show people this. I want to teach this. And the craziest thing for me is when I tried to teach, it all went horribly wrong for me. I'm trying to give people things, and I want them to take it, and when they're not taking it, I'm getting frustrated. Like, why aren't you taking it? You need this. And in the last 2 years, I fell away from that. I gave up teaching. I said, you know what? I do not care about teaching. All I care about is that good feeling, because I know that everybody has the same resilience that I have, and I know everybody has the same well-being that I have. So if I speak from my truth and just speak from my good feeling, and they get something from that, then that is a bonus for everybody. And ever since, I've been doing that, and it's just carried me places where I just, it's like I've let go and I'm floating more, because I've just going places and doing things, and I'm with these amazing people, and it's like I'm just maintaining myself. I'm not doing nothing extra. I'm not trying to do this. I'm not giving. I'm just floating. And that's where I'm at now. Like, I'm just with these beautiful people, just floating, trying to help people.
That's amazing.
Wow. I love
Thanks,
that.
Omar.
You know, there's so much I want to say on this. Levi, do you mind if I go like off script a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
There's kind of a direction that we want to go over here, and there is.
Go for it. It's about off script.
As both Derek and Emma were speaking, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, we need 5 podcasts here, not just one. I don't know how we're going to squeeze it all in. There's just so much in there. It's so rich, and there's so much content in what you've said there. And I really, so much I'd love to kind of talk more about and say more about. I want to try and prioritize a little bit though, because like I say, there's a limited time frame, and I want to make sure that we kind of get somewhere with it. But I did just want to say one thing that occurred to me as you guys were speaking, and that is, but both of you really, there was a lot of common things that you both said there. There was a lot of overlap, a lot of themes in that. And one of the things that I recalled is when I went to a prison in San Jose with Kathy Casey, who's somebody who's been teaching the principles in prison for, I don't know, 30 years, maybe, very long time. And she's really amazing, incredible lady. And the reason I wanted to go was because I used to watch videos of people like Omar and Derek. You know, they had some videos and I was like, these guys must be actors. Can't be, they can't, people can't change that much, you know. People can't come from being in a prison, you know, where all you see in your life is crime and selling drugs, kind of as both of you have said, and now have such wisdom and such depth and such insight and such peace of mind. I was like, no, that doesn't, I'm a bit of a skeptic at heart. And I'm like, I want to see this for myself. I'm not believing it till I've seen it, you know. So I said to Kathy, I want to go to the prison with you. So she took me to prison. This was about 15 years ago. And it was just, you know, I went in there and a couple of things, something that Jacqueline said, you know, I went in there, I walk in, I'm all excited about doing it. And then I get in there and it's like high security, you know, in these American high security prisons. I went to Onley as well. And this is a 3 levels up the scale of like security over there. And you know, they frisk you before you come in and everything goes to a metal detector. And in the lifts, there's no buttons on the lifts. You have to kind of, you know, there's a camera and you have to go, I want floor 2. And then they decide if they're going to let you go to floor 2. I mean, this was serious business. And I start getting a little nervous. I'm like, what have I got myself into over here? You know? And then, you know, they all wear those orange jumpsuits and it was quite intimidating. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, can I turn back? I believe you, Kathy, it's okay. But I was kind of in there. So I kind of followed through. And I'll just tell you one really funny thing as an aside, is that, you know, I was a little nervous because, you know, as a Jewish person, one often comes across sort of anti-Semitism or one believes there's anti-Semitism, maybe even where there isn't. You know, kind of like what Omar was saying, you know, sort of as a Black person that you feel there's like judgment about you, where maybe there isn't judgment about you, but you kind of see it everywhere because it's kind of what you're thinking about. So I kind of have a little bit of a similar thing. But I was wearing a baseball cap, so I didn't have, you know, this yarmulke on. And so I thought, well, I'm okay because I'm not going to know I'm Jewish, so I'm going to be fine. You know, even if they're anti-Semitic, they won't know I'm Jewish. So I get in there with Kathy and we walk in the room and there's like 50 or 60 guys in there. And these guys are bulked up to the skies. I mean, this guy's, you know, this guy's bicep was thicker than my thigh, you know, like it's like, and one of them had a tattoo around his neck saying death, you know, so it was like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a bit intense. And then I'm thinking there's like one guard in the room. There's only one guard in the whole room. And I'm thinking, I'm like a nice little Jewish boy. These guys could have me for supper if they wanted, you know. So all this thinking going on in my head, you know, my head's spinning with it all. And and so Kathy gets up and she says, okay, we're going to do some, like, we've got a little award ceremony. We're going to give some people some awards, all very nice. She says, okay, now, if you remember last week, I told you I had a very special guest coming. And I'd like to introduce you to Rabbi Rosenblatt. And I'm like, oh my God, that's it. I'm finished. I've blown my cover, you know. So, and not only that, listen to what she did to me next. She says, and you know, I'm not going to talk to you today. He's going to be the one speaking to you. And I was like, what? I came to listen to you, not to listen to me. And so I was really intimidated and really uncertain and really nervous, but I was put on the spot. So I thought, you know what, let's just do it. And it was such a beautiful experience. It was really such a beautiful experience. You know, as you guys say, and as Jacqueline always says, I felt so much love in the room. And it was amazing to me, the contrast between what I expected and what I experienced. you know, where my mind was at, where my thinking was at, in terms of these guys are hardened criminals and they're scary people and they're frightening and they want to hurt me and they don't like me, and all that was in my head. And when I was there, it was just people, it was just human beings, it was just, and there was so much wisdom in the room, and there was so much love in the room, and there was so much connection in the room, and there was so much feeling in the room, and it was just beautiful. It was really, really beautiful. And I even couldn't help myself, you know, just the words came out, you know. I said to them at one point along the way, you know, I'd love to spend a couple of weeks here with you guys, you know. I thought, well, maybe not, you know, but maybe not in prison, but with you guys, I would love to spend a couple of weeks, you know, because it was really, really touching and really, it was incredible. It was really incredible. I said at one point, I said, you know, is there a way to get a cup of water here? 10 guys jumped up, you know, we want to get you. No, I want to get you. No, I want to get you. It was just, it was so beautiful. And I really get a sense of that there is so much judgment and there's so much putting people in boxes. And you know, as you've been saying until now, we forget that we're all just human beings. We forget that we're all the same. We forget that we all have love inside of us. Not we have love inside of us. We are of love. We are love. We are beautiful, godly souls. That's what every single one of us it is. And with you guys, as you were saying, you just kind of lost your way. You know, you just kind of got through your upbringing or whatever it was, you kind of got lost in a crazy world of your own creation. And the minute you saw through that, you came home, you know. You came home to who you were, to who you'd always been, to who you always will be, to who you could never change from being. It was just, and it's just so beautiful to see that in the two of you, you know, and just get such a feeling for that. So I just wanted to kind of share that, because I feel, you know, very touched by your incredible wisdom and how articulate both of you are as well. You know, Omar, you're saying that, like, you you know, you kind of went through the book and you had to, you know, pick out all the words that, you know, your English wasn't the best, you know, but when I hear you speak, you're so clear and you're so articulate, because articulation is not, it's not in the words, you know, whether you know enough dictionary words or whether you have enough education or not. Articulation is from the heart. And you guys both speak from your hearts, and that articulation is clear for all to see, you know, that's kind of where it's coming from. And I just want to ask you, Omar, do you remember which book it was that Jacqueline gave you?
Oh, this is my favorite book to date. It's
Go on.
The Modelo.
Pardon?
The Modelo.
Oh, the Modella. Yeah, that's a good one. That's Jack Pransky.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. That's a really good book.
Yeah.
That's really so much in there.
100.
And you're right, that is quite a thick book. I'll give you that. Jacqueline, why don't you give him a thin one to start with? Start him easy, you know.
And you know, sorry, do you know
yeah,
what?
Go on, Dave.
You know what you said about Cassie Case in the videos of the. I would have seen that, and I would be thinking what you're thinking. I'll be thinking they're before this understanding, I would have seen that and thought, no, they're actors.
Yeah.
That can't happen. In real prisons, you don't get people like that.
Yeah.
That's not real.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But if I could bring it back to the fact of what's going on your side when you're going into the prison, with most people, they come in.
Yeah.
There's a whole other story going on the other side. And I think it needs to be get across the impact that someone can have just from coming into a prison. And for me, but the first time I was in group and they said someone's coming in, I thought, oh, guinea pig, they just want to come in and peer in and have a look and prod at the circus animals and see how we live. That was my thinking. But when I'm in the group and I realized that the person's come in to be with us, and they're saying, wow, I can't believe the wisdom and love in this room, and they're a part of it. And I thought, wow, hold on. They're valuing me as a human being with wisdom. Whereas before I saw myself as, I'm in prison, I'm the lowest of low. Everybody outside in society is looking down on me right now, except my loved ones and people who know me, but everyone's looking down on me. So from people from outside come in and take an actual interest in me, the person, and what I've got to say and what the group is sharing, because it's sort of like a validation, because that group in prison would be sitting on the yard talking roughly the same sort of wisdom, but none of us don't know his wisdom. We just think we're all chatting rubbish. But when someone from outside comes in and says, wow, I can hear what you lot are saying and feel what you lot are saying, and I can see you, to me, that meant the world. That meant the world to me, to know that I had more value than that. And I had to start looking for that value now and stop sort of like putting it in other people's hands to say whether they valued me or not, and then wait for their answer, or wait for their outcome. That showed me that I had it. Even though I thought I was at my lowest spot, I was still had that love to connect with somebody from outside who saw me for being as a human being. And I think you can never underplay that. To those inmates that was in that American prison, you can never underplay the feeling that you gave them in return upon seeing you come in just to speak to them. And I think that's where the connection and the the barriers, all the fault breaks down on both sides. And we can just see that we're all just human beings. And I think that moment there, I felt that moment what you're talking about. And it's beautiful.
You know, in a way, I'm very, very jealous of you, Jacqueline, and you guys as well, because it's such a privilege to be able to do this, you know, to be able to go in there and break down barriers like Derek's saying, you know, something that people have never had before, and open people up to new possibilities and new experiences. And it seems to me that in a prison, it's almost like, I'm sure it's not as simple as this, you know. Derek and Omar make it sound pretty simple, but, you know, Derek just said it was the feeling of love, and Omar said it was the fact that you were smiling. You know, it's it's like, but in a certain way, it sounds like it really is just that simple, you know, that if you just go in with, and you believe in people, and you see the possibility, and you see the potential, and you genuinely see them for who they are, well, that gives them the possibility of seeing that themselves. And if they see that themselves, well, then you're done. You know, what more do you need? So the game's over. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting because I've trained many facilitators, and I've had many visitors to the prison, and, you know, people who want to do this work or want to make a difference in society or whatever. And I've always said to people, all you need is to love them, and you're learning from them. They're not learning from you. You're not here to teach. And everything else can be taught, like facilitation or content or any of that. But if you come in and you've got an open heart, and you know that you're here to learn from the people here, it is as easy as that.
Yeah. I could just see a proposal for the prisons minister. You know, I've got this great program that I want to go and learn from all the people in prisons. You know, not sure how that would go down, but you're absolutely right, Jacqueline. You're absolutely right.
It's true, you know. But when the lads were talking, and yourself, Shaul, I was thinking that the two most impactful events that I can think about that happened during those times were the seminar that we put on, Mind Behind Bars, where the guys themselves, 12 guys, you know, did a Free Principles conference, a day-long conference, and we had 27 outsiders, guests, you know, members of the public come and view that in the prison chapel, and how mind-blowingly amazing that was. And every single one of those 27 people walked away saying, this is the best Three Principles learning I've ever done. And the other one was when your academy came, when the Rabbinic Training Academy came, and there was, I think, 6 or 8 trainee rabbis, and we had 6 or 8 men in the group, and then, you know, there was myself and Abby and Hannah, and that was one of the, again, a day where you could just see barriers breaking down, literally crumbling in front of you, literally people saying to each other, I've never met a prisoner before, or I've never met a Jewish person before. You know, it's like it was crumbling, and boys really would sit and laughing with each other and making friends. And so those two events where people mixed with people that they didn't think they'd ever meet or mix with were the most impactful days of my career so far.
Wow.
And you should know, Jacqueline, we had a you know, at the end of the rabbis were training with us for a couple of years, and we did all sorts of things with them. You know, all sorts of seminars, all sorts of programs. We took them all sorts of places. We at the evaluation at the end of the program, when we asked them kind of what were the most impactful things that you had, number one was the prison visit.
Wow.
The most impactful thing for them.
Yeah.
It really was. And Levi was one of them. So.
Yeah, that was amazing. Definitely the most amazing experience of the whole program.
Yeah.
And like you said, Jacqueline, it's really as simple as people meeting with people and just talking together as human beings, one soul to another. You know, and like you spoke about, and Shaul spoke about, maybe like a prison, like a larger proposal for like beyond recovery on a larger scale, even, you know, nationally or internationally. And kind of basing it on that, where you have people who are not in prison coming and visiting people who are in prison. And then, you know, the people who are visiting, just seeing that everyone's just human, just like them, and just people going through a hard time. And then the people who are in prison looking at the others and saying, hey, like, you know, we're just like the people that are not here. And we just went through a rough time, a bit of a rougher time, you know, and just that connection just brings people out of it. And like Omar and Derek were saying, that just takes you out of your bad thinking and all those negative thoughts. It brings you into this clear place where you see that everyone's the same. Some of us just get caught up. Some of us just get caught and others don't, right? And
well, no, I wouldn't say that, Levi. I'd say all of us get caught up, just
right.
to some bigger consequences to their getting caught
yeah.
up. And there's less.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys, what do you, and this is a question for the crowd. What do you see as, like, obviously the prison system? I mean, I'm from America. I know it's a lot worse there than it is here. Kind of how the prison system is built. I have a relative, a cousin who about 10 or 15 years ago, he was arrested for arson, and he sat in prison for about 10 years. And he suffered they labeled him as, you know, given bipolar diagnosis. He wasn't taking his meds, and he acted out on there. He created a fire and went to prison for that. And when he came out, I mean, I hadn't seen him in 10 or 15 years. And when he came out, he was just he was broke and he was gone. His mind wasn't there anymore. He wasn't present at all. He was finished. Like he wasn't there anymore. He looked like he wasn't a person there anymore. It had a massive impact on me, because I looked at it, and I also visited prisons when I was in a part of a program a couple of years ago in America, and just looking inside and seeing how people are treated, and I understand that there are violent offenders, there are offenders who need to be kept away from societies in order not to do harm to others, and I understand that, and there has to be some type of balance. But isn't there a better system, or more of a rehabilitational system than the correctional facility system that we have in place now? Shouldn't there be a way? I know there's plenty. I mean, there are people who say there's no money for that, right? And there's lack of funds for that. Well, the funds are being put towards keeping people in prison. I know there's millions and millions of dollars being spent in America, I'm sure, of pounds here in the UK, to pump into the prison system so that we can keep people in prison, those who need to be kept in prison. And then at the same time, why can't there be some type of shifting of funds towards something that's more into rehabilitation, where you have someone like my cousin who goes in there and comes out maybe 5 or 10 years later and has rethought life, and maybe he's 2.0, the human 2.0 version of himself, rather than, you know, minus 2.0, where he's went backwards in life instead of forwards. I mean, what's the point of putting someone in a place that will totally destroy who they are, instead of, when you know they're coming from a bad place, and why not take them and try to do something better with them? Why not, guide our efforts towards that? And I'm curious if you guys have any sort of thought or I'm sure you do. I mean, this is what Beyond Recovery is doing, and it's amazing. And I'd love to see that explode into the entire country, into the entire world. But where do you kind of see that as growing, or where do you see as a prison a facility like that being more rehabilitation rather than just a containing cell, really?
I have plenty to say, but I'll leave a space for the guys.
Yeah, for me, yeah, that's shocking, that is, because that's the same way it is in America, like what happened to your cousin. It's not as bad over here, but for some people they might think it is, but it's to a lesser degree. But and it is the same thing. It is basically the same thing. It's if because I've been involved in a lot of like organizations and meetings where they talk about what's the problem, and they get people from the top who used to be in there talk about how they see it. And I thought, when you listen to them, you get depressed and you think, oh, what the hell am I doing? Why am I even doing this? But then you see that change can only come from the little people just doing whatever they can do, one day at a time, one step at a time. And then just getting the opportunity to get put in front of somebody who can maybe make that happen on a bigger scale. And then just keep on doing what we do every day. And yeah, it is bad, but like you said, you can't go up to the top and scream at the top because no one's going to listen. So the way I see it, if I just do what I can do on the ground, and the more people on the ground doing what they can do, and then eventually there will be a change to where the system is geared more to rehabilitation, because they put the rehabilitation on it, but it's more geared to just lock them up, keep them away, and then whatever happens in there, if they don't come out rehabilitated, they get more of the same treatment. There's got to be some sort of, no, if you want a chance to rehabilitate your life, then here's the opportunity. But I would love for them to say, right, anybody that wants to rehabilitate, come to Beyond Recovery, we'll do this, wouldn't tell them what to do. We'll just tell them their options, or try to show them that their options have always been there. And that is something I'm very passionate about, trying to get people to see rehabilitation is the key. But all I can do is what I can do on the ground and hope that it kicks on, and then eventually it reaches up to the top.
Yeah, it's really difficult to. That's really the way it has to start, from the ground up, and just doing your part in it. It's just really, I guess, upsetting to look at it and say, hey, this has so much potential. Why aren't we doing things like this on a greater scale? But I guess that's just the reality of it, right? And it's just baby steps, really, and everyone doing their part.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I was gonna say.
no.
I shouldn't give up.
No, go on, Omar.
No, so I was gonna say that so listen to me on this. If there was a Beyond Recovery prison, they would replicate that. After 2-3 years, they would replicate that everywhere. Because one thing that I see is that it's the same as boxes. We have boxes for everything. So we'll have a B cat and a C cat and a this cat and a that cat, and then tell people they can't have this or you can have that, and and it's like, even to get into certain groups, they want to know what crime you did. But Mama J didn't know what crime I did. She didn't know anything about me. The only thing she injected was love. That's it. So it's like, even me, I thought there was no love in the system. I thought, the system's rubbish, and because that's what that was my thought process. But even seeing it and meeting certain people inside, there is love there. There's a lot of love in there. But I see that the system is innocently failing. And the reason why it's innocently failing is because they have people trying to do stuff that they don't know if it works or not.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I would do something totally different to the governor because I have a different experience than he has. So the way I would run a prison would probably be a bit different. It would still be a prison, but it would be a lot different, and we work on different stuff. And I feel like the punishment era is like, once you're in prison, to get punished again and again and again and again and again, there's no learning. But to realize that where those thoughts are coming from, and you have that love and resilience, and everybody around you is shining that love and resilience, even on the govs themselves, even on the people that, like everybody, because there's a couple govs that helped me and there's a couple that were just horrible to me. But the ones that helped me, they actually don't know it. They don't know it yet, until I go and I approach them and I let them know, wow, you did a good job for me. And that will probably install some more love for them to do that to someone else. So I feel like the system just needs love. Yeah. It needs that love and that experience from the ground up, exactly like what Derek's saying, but from the ground up. If everybody's showing that love and they can see change from just that simple love, then I think, like, for me personally, I think everything will turn around.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, we need to get Omar the prison to run.
Yeah.
I'm saving up.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm going to take it from the top down then, because we've got the guys at the bottom up. So I'm going to take it from the top down, which is it would cost no more money. Like, so it's existing money that's already funneled into building more prisons and punishing more people, and without any thought of what's going to happen. But there are some fundamental things that need to change. So it's not just Beyond Recovery. There are other organizations that are amazing grassroots organizations. Shannon Trust to teach people to read, for instance, is one of them. There's a lending,
Storybook Dads.
Storybook Dads who help people to write home, send, reading a story home to their families, and hundreds. There are hundreds of, or many anyway, grassroots, meaningful, love-filled organizations. Where the problem is that we're living in, one is the public is not educated. So there's no, the public don't know about the good and the potential within the prison system. They don't know what can happen to, let's say, 80% of the prison population could be rehabilitated and helped. And then, yes, okay, maybe there's a punishment issue here, and maybe there's something that needs to happen, but the punishment is your liberty being taken away. That's the punishment. Then you should be helped mentally and physically and every other way to then have a meaningful, be a meaningful citizen with a meaningful life and be able to make change in their communities. These guys can make massive change in communities. They can change a community with what they know and how they are. And all it takes is for some people at the top to see that there could be a sea change. We've been doing punishment for many, many, many years now. It doesn't work, but we're still doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And somebody needs to see, okay, well, what could we do differently then? And the money gets poured into some things that are exactly the same, but have got a different label on them or have a different thing. The staff, we were able to teach the staff and the guys together. And that's what's needed. The staff and the guys in the same room, reconciling, understanding each other, learning about each other. People in the public understanding that, no, it's not because I didn't think about the victim in this case, but it's because, do I want another victim? No, I want to be able to work with this person, work out why they did what they did, and help them to overcome that and not do it again. So it really wouldn't take much. A radical reform of the prison system sounds enormous, but it wouldn't take very much. But it needs some mindset changes of A, the possibility, and B, the interest. And then we need to get the public on side and explain what we're doing and why we're doing it, and demonstrate, like Omar working in his hometown now in Newham to make changes and to take people off the streets and stop people from doing knife crime. We can demonstrate that, and other organisations can demonstrate that, but they're not listened to. And I think it's because politically it's a hot potato, and they don't know, it's a 4-year turnaround, and what are we going to do then, and everything else. So it'll take a little time. Omar said 2 or 3 years. Yeah, give us a chance to make some changes. In 2 or 3 years, you'd start to see, when working in 2 prisons, Onley and Nottingham, you started to see that the officers were going, wow, people change. Wow. I've worked in a sex offenders prison, and one person out of all the staff believed that the change was possible. All the staff did not believe that change was possible. They thought we were crazy people going in. And then this one person ended up obviously leaving and doing some really, really good stuff. But that is a mindset change for the system.
Yeah. And it's just really a switch of mindset. It sounds like you said, it sounds like a massive change, but it's just a switch of mindset. And the time is being spent and the money is being spent anyways And like you said, well, the turnaround 3 or 4 years, how are we going to know? Well, what's the alternative? The alternative is what's going on in the present, which is not helping. So you might as well have that change of mindset and try something else that looks like it's been working. And I love the idea of Omar was saying, of having a prison that's like a beyond recovery
Yeah, I love
prison.
that idea.
Yeah, there you go.
Very
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I wanted to add to that, Jacqueline. So, you say that it's the same money being spent. This is going to be a lot cheaper for the government if they had any sense. It's going to save them a fortune, because look at these guys here. These guys could be costing the government money back in prison.
£35,000 a year.
Yeah. So there you go. Here's £70,000 a year saved straight away just of his call.
So two years. These guys.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. But it's more than that, because not only Omar and Derek not costing the system money, they're contributing. They're doing something. Instead of having them locked away in a prison, doing nothing with their lives, you've activated them to be people who can make a difference, who can do something, who can, I'm always of the belief, I'm a big fan of the free market, and I'm of the belief that human beings are our greatest resource. Every single human being is such a resource in this world. They have so much to offer to the world. And what a tragedy that this great resource, this incredible, beautiful, wise, amazing resources are locked away in the prison cells. What a waste. What a waste of this. What a waste for the world. What a waste that we lock them away in a cell instead of trying to help bring that resource out of them and get them to contribute for our sake as well as theirs, for the sake of society. That these guys, I mean, listen to them speaking today. They got so much to offer, and they haven't, I don't know how long you guys have kind of been out of the system, but it doesn't sound like that long, because you kind of, was only 5-6 years ago that you kind of first went in. So, in that short time, look what you've done. God willing, you guys have 40-50 years ahead of you of contribution that you wouldn't have without this. That is like, what a gift. What a gift to society. What a gift to the world, to take people who are costing money and make them into people who will be incredible contributors.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And just think about the families. Both guys have got young families.
Yeah.
Omar's just had another baby. Those families, most boys from families with criminal backgrounds go to prison. Yeah. Right? That is not going to happen in this instance. Yeah. And the families are going to grow up in a loving environment, which all the men I've ever met always love their children. They want to do the best for them, but they've got a misunderstanding of what that best looks like. And now with the blinkers taken off, and with this new understanding of what that really means. So love is more important than money, let's say, because many men that I work with, they do a lot of what they do to support the family. And when they realize, oh, actually, that person, my child needs me there rather than needs new trainers or needs the latest whatever, they switch and they realize, no, I'm going to be present for my family. So there's a generation of children that are going to be completely changed because of people seeing their own potential.
What was really insightful for me of the many things in this conversation was when Omar said that he was making money from drugs so as he could become an upstanding citizen. Yeah. In other words, that's what he wanted to be. Yeah. From the very beginning, he wanted to be an upstanding citizen. He just didn't know how to do it. He didn't have the resources to be an upstanding citizen, and he was doing the best he knew how, given what he'd learned and given what he'd grown up with and given what he'd seen. This is it. I want to be an upstanding. I mean, how tragic is that in a way, that you have a person who wants to be an upstanding citizen and ends up in crime in order to be an upstanding citizen. It's such a shame. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to happen that way. And what you guys are all saying is so hopeful. If we get it in the system, if we could kind of do something with it, go somewhere with it.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like that one thing that's amazing for me is, and it always sits with me because I never ever thought it would happen this way, but I always thought like somebody that knows about me, knows what I'm like, knows my past, knows everything I've been about and everything that could happen because it's happened to them, and only they could advise me to do something and give me a formula to do something. I never thought a lady that doesn't know anything about me, hasn't even come from the same side as me, everything different, every single thing different, apart from the main thing, which is the same. We're human. And I would have never have seen that before. I would have thought I can't help him because he's a veteran and he's white and he's this and he's 58. I would have thought that before, but it's like everything that Jacqueline kind of showed me is that anybody can teach anybody. Like I even learned from my children. I learn a lot from my children because they're just so free spirited and so loving and caring, and they don't even hold on to things. And it's that's what I just want to portray to people. I just want to show them that it's possible to experience now, and not experiential thinking, but just be present. And you can teach and learn from anybody.
Yeah.
Because that was my barrier before.
You know, Omar, I don't want to minimize what Jacqueline has done and does, because I'm one of her biggest fans. But you learn from yourself, from what I've heard you say. You know, she didn't advise you, she didn't guide you, she didn't teach you. You've taught yourself. You've been your own teacher. All she did was walked in and smiled, you know. Like I say, not quite as simple as that, and I give Jacqueline a lot more credit. But in effect, you know, that's you just found a place of love, and from that place of love, you saw something in yourself, and you become your own teacher. And it's amazing what you said earlier, that you went a step further and you realized, actually, nobody taught me. Why should I teach anybody else?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, you learned from yourself. So you didn't kind of put it in these words, but to me, that's what you saw, is that, I learned from myself. Why would I want to go and teach somebody else? That's no good. That's not helpful. I just want to go and be there and share and let them learn, let them find that insight from themselves.
100%. Do you know, I always used to say that she said, look over there. And I looked over there and then I saw all the stuff and I went over there and just discovered it all. She'd have said, look over there. And
I like that. I like that. That's what Jacqueline's great at. She's great at pointing. She's a good pointer. She just points you guys in the right direction and off you go.
100%.
I like the word you used earlier, Shaul, was activate. Love is the potion that activates potential. And yeah, okay, there's logistics and there's other stuff that went around getting into prison and but bringing love and respect and the knowledge that everybody is a resilient, creative human at their core and has the essence of life within them is enough to activate anyone. And that activation comes out in the form in many, many different ways. So, you know, some people want to come and teach and share this work and do other things like this, but other people go and do other things. But the activation of their true selves comes about from just sniffing that. And other programs do that. Like any other program, AA, CBT, all of those things, but they don't know that that's what they're doing. And so people get misguided because they think it's a thing or an affirmation or a technique they have to follow. But the source of it all, the source of unlocking that potential comes from that essence and that place. And as soon as that's activated, that's it. You know, you're off growing. Like we always look at the flowers growing from the side of the wall. And there's a church outside my house, and there's a sunflower growing at the very, very top of the church, just like in a horizontal position. You know, how does that happen? It got activated, a seed landed there, the sun and the rain activate it, life grows. And and that's in its simplest all that we're doing, isn't it?
It's beautiful. Guys, I don't want to take up too much of your time. But was there any other thoughts that Shaul, any other things you wanted to ask or point out, or any of you guys wanted to share before?
We've said so much there. I mean, I'm happy if anybody else has anything they want to kind of add or say, but it was really, there's so much in there. I don't want to overwhelm people with too much.
You just have to come back.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
We would love to come back.
Great.
Oh, well, for sure.
You're going to be speaking to our rabbis, I think, aren't you? So
yes,
that's great. Well, I'm very excited about that.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
cool.
looking forward to that.
Well, guys, someone who's listened to this and they want to see more about what you guys do, where can they find it? I know I got these booklets from Abby. I love these. The Free Me, 3P. I love these from Derek and Omar. These are great. I don't know if you can see them in the camera because it's like doing that background.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe if I wave them back and forth, you can see them really quickly. Yeah, there you go. But these are amazing, and these are people who are in prison at the moment. These are like self-help workbooks, literally, for people to work through and get. These are just amazing, and but I know there's so much available to the public. So where can they go? A website, a podcast. Also, if you can give us just a quick summary of the Pen Pal. I know Jude, who's sitting right nearby, has told me about the Pen Pal program with people being in touch with people for them in prison. So if you guys can let us know about that stuff.
Yes, so our website is the best place to go, www.beyond-recovery.co.uk, and that is currently being revamped by Derek Mason. But you can find us on there, and there is a podcast and Instagram and Twitter and I'm sure and a YouTube channel and all sorts. So if you Google Jacqueline Hollows, actually, or Beyond Recovery, you'll find everything. And the Pen Pal scheme, so we have a scheme where we send in the packs that you just indicated to people, prison residents, and then if they engage and they like the material, because we're not in there so much at the moment, we buddy them up with someone on the outside, a volunteer, who then communicates through an email system. It's a very clunky old email system, but it works. So you email and the person in prison gets that email in printed format, and they can write back. And so the buddy, we call them buddies because they're not mentors, because we want people to learn off each other. So the buddy works with someone in prison and, initially maybe talks about the information in the pack and what insights they've had or so on. But that conversation in some cases ends up being a very beautiful, meaningful conversation, and enables people to realize some of their spiritual potential.
Nice. And people can find out about that through the website. Is that available on those?
Yeah, well, okay. Contact one of us.
Contact one of you guys. Yeah. Okay, cool.
You're saying you can Google Jacqueline Hollows. What if we Google Mama J? Will we get anything?
I don't know.
We might have to put some links on there for that.
Thanks for that, Shaul.
Love that name.
Put that in the SEO, Derek.
We might just again, just to maybe finish off with this, because it reminds me, and I know it's not about you, Jacqueline. I know there's so many people involved. You just kind of, you are guided more than anything else. So but it's incredible what you've done personally, and it reminds me of in the early 20th century, in Europe, there was in the Orthodox Jewish world, there was a whole education system for boys, but there was nothing for girls. There was no education system for girls whatsoever. It didn't exist. And because of that, the girls started to get disillusioned with Judaism and disinterested and disconnected and kind of went their own separate ways. And this woman named Sarah Schneerer, you know, a time when women were not really able, didn't have a voice per se in society, stood up and set up this whole system, really stood up against the prevailing times and set up a system that by the time of her death, and she died young, there were 30,000 girls in this education system, which was really incredible. Just over the course of a short lifetime, what she accomplished was absolutely unbelievable, because she knew something needed to be done, and she saw that something mattered. And so, you know, I hope that will give some hope for you as to what can be done and what is possible. But the reason it reminded me is because this woman wasn't able to have children. She wasn't able to have children of her own. And everybody in her school system, she was like the guiding light of the system. You know, she was like the role model for everybody. They all used to call her Mama. They all used to call her Mama. And so they used to say about her that she was a woman who didn't have children of her own, but was called Mama by 30,000 young women. So I look forward, Jacqueline, to when there's 30,000 people calling you Mama J.
Yeah.
That'll be the day. Nice. That'll be the day where you've really, you know, really made a difference, and I look forward to it.
Well, thank you all for joining on.
I feel that I already have made a real difference, but I look forward to that as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, a sort of a national difference, which is what we really want to do. And really looking forward to and excited to watch your progress and to get behind your progress, and however I can help. You know, I'm always here to try and do so, because I love what you do, and I love the guys that are coming out of this, and the wisdom and the insight and the humanness and the humility. And the resilience. It's amazing to see, and just, you know, more of the same from all of you. You know, just keep at it. We're behind you. We believe in you, and the work you're doing is amazing, and it's so important, and it's holy. It's really holy work, and you know, just keep it up, and you know, look forward to hearing great things about what you're doing. Thank you so much for coming to share with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you guys. We'll see you.
Good to see you.
Bye.
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 Bye.